train AI so that it can train you.
Be vulnerable enough to put your art out there.
Yeah.
Don't keep it to yourself.
Every second guy you'll find is into the creative field. Your duty is to your actions, not the fruits of it. If you're failing, but fail faster. I joined MLM. You are a very well-written book, but it is not opened yet. You need money to sustain. Fake it till you make it. This type of buffalo, they run towards the storm. Don't be Rangila. You rather compete with your competition.
Okay.
So elevator pitch is something, let's say, you meet your favorite artist in an elevator.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to We Are Art, a podcast for performing artists by performing artists. Has it happened to you that someone just walks in a room and you instinctively turn towards them? No, they may not be the best looking in the room, but it's just their presence that fills up the space. Yes, today's guest, who is Ridhiin Panchmatia, a seasoned photographer and director of various events like the Sunburn, Tomorrowland, and who's captured with his lens celebrities like Mr. Bachchan and the musical maestro Amit Trivedi. He's going to shed light on what makes a performing artist an average performing artist and the one with that X factor. So let's dive into the podcast and see what he has in store for us for you to better your presence in front of the stage and in front of the audience. Let's see. Ridhiin Panchmatia with us. Thank you so much for making
Thank you
time.
very much.
So मुझे बताइए आपके जर्नी के बारे में. How did it all start?
I never wanted to be a photographer, or I never thought I'll be into shooting or filming. I was more of a visual person.
Mm-hmm.
I liked music a lot. I in fact wanted to go to Trinity in UK, and
Yeah.
I was almost about I got my forms filled and everything, but then it didn't happen. And I was learning animation, so I loved technology as well a lot. And I was attending one of the seminars for animation. Over there, I got to learn about light painting, and that's when that is where I got interested in photography.
Wow.
And I started shooting music by mistake. By mistake, as in I was learning guitar,
Wow.
and one of my guitarist friends, he was playing for Kunal Ganjawala, and that performance was at Mithibai College. So I went there with my camera, and the people over there, the committee thought I was the official photographer.
Yeah.
And
Presence.
and they let me on the stage, and they let me shoot the entire thing. So that is how the first event which I shot happened.
Wow.
And then Euphoria is another band from 90s.
Wow. Mairi.
Yeah, Mairi, exactly. So they were performing in Bombay at Bandra Fort. So I reached out to the manager, and I told him that I'd like to shoot. And he called me over, and they loved the photos. And Palash Sen, he's been really kind since then, and he's invited me a couple of times to shoot and everything. So
beautiful.
That is how it strengthened further that I want to get into music photography.
So आपने बहुत सारे artists के साथ काम किया है and you've captured a lot of them on your cameras, on your lenses. So do you sometimes just instinctively know कि he's got it?
Yeah.
On what basis? Could you elaborate on that? कुछ लोगों में वो बोलते हैं वो बात है इसमें.
Primarily in my head, I would divide them in 3 categories. First is someone who's really into his or her art form, and they know their stuff in and out.
Okay.
But they might not be as confident, not just in camera, but out with people in general. They're not extrovert, they are introvert. Second is it's all fluff. Fluff as in they are just talking big.
So that's a giveaway कि नहीं है.
Correct.
अच्छा. Okay.
That's a dead giveaway that this guy is just talking big, and you'll find a lot of them in the industry.
Ouch, that's brutal, but great insight. Great insight.
Yeah, and they don't know what they're doing, but they show that they know.
They know everything.
And on the way, on the go, they learn.
Got it.
And then they make it.
Got
So it's a hit or miss. And the third is someone who I'm dead sure that this person will definitely make it, is because not only that they know their art
In and
like
out.
a Bible, like a Bhagavad Gita, they'll know in and out, but they also know how to talk well. They also can present themselves, because at the end of the day, If you don't know how to talk or how to present yourself,
Hmm.
you are going to fall behind no matter what.
Wow.
In the first category, a lot of people die. A lot of creators, a lot of performing artists, they die.
Die in the sense like
Uh,
they don't take off because of
Correct.
lacking
They
the
they
skills.
cannot present themselves.
Got it. Wow, that's a very very nice insight.
Yeah.
And what are the tools that one can build if someone
To become an extrovert,
to become an extrovert, but to present oneself better? Like if I'm a brand in myself, or I want to make a brand out of myself, what are the things that I should take care of? My public appearances or whatever, whatever.
the very first thing I think we might touch on this topic quite often is AI.
AI.
Yeah. I feel right now it is so underused. It's just used to draft emails where I see, or just few things here and there, give me captions.
Hashtags and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you genuinely train AI, it's not that AI is built for you specifically. For Raj, it'll be different. For Ridhiin, it'll be different. For someone else, it'll be different. So first thing is train AI in terms of give AI all your details, who you are, what you want to do, where you come from, compare it to your competitors, ask them what do you need to do. Like I might tell you 5 things right now, but once you train AI on a daily basis, it's going to give you 50 things every day.
Wow.
So it's systematically upscaling yourself
Got it.
without paying any extra fee. So first thing is train AI so that it can train you.
Train as in like
Okay,
I've
for
put all my details in. Let's suppose I started it after you saying.
Hmm.
So what's this list of questions should I ask?
I start with that where I've come from, what all shoots I've done, what all brand associations I have, projects I have currently, where I feel I am really good at, where I feel I lack. The most important, where do I see myself? Where do I want to go?
Hmm.
And then I ask ChatGPT to ask me questions before you give me answers.
On what they would like to know to get the best answers for it.
Correct. And then
Interesting.
you answer, and then they give you an answer.
And that's a more detailed answer and more concise
Correct.
to your custom.
Yeah, it's accurate, it's precise to what you want to do.
Oh wow. Interesting. So AI being
The very
a
first
very
thing.
underused tool
Correct.
currently that
Yeah.
we can use. Anything else?
Second is social media. Don't care if you're failing, but fail faster. Put as much content out as possible. Once you shoot yourself, you'll get more conscious and you'll put it out. People will comment, people will laugh, people will mock, people will share. You'll get more conscious, but be okay with failing faster. Because when you are okay that okay, if the person is mocking, I'm still doing this for my own benefit. I don't care if the other person is laughing or not, but if I'm doing this, I'm getting more confident. So fail faster is the motto in terms of social media also. That put yourself out there in terms of failing.
Be vulnerable enough to put your art out there.
Yeah.
Don't keep it to yourself.
Correct.
What you're saying.
Krishna Bhagwan said, your duty is to your actions, not the fruits of it. At least you tried and you failed.
Wow. And also think of it, if I may add to what you're saying, what I'm understanding of it, take it as a hurdle. कि इसको तो लांगना ही है, जितना जल्दी लांगे उतना बेटर है.
Correct.
Fail faster so that you can get done with it. The more you do it, you're more equipped to, get rid of it and move on.
Exactly. The third part is a difficult one, is understanding your art inside out. That you wake me up in the middle of the night and you describe a scene to me, I'll tell you what settings of camera there should be. Sitting here looking at the cameras, I can imagine that okay, this will be the frame. Because I'm looking at the lens, I'm looking at the distance, I'm looking at where the angle is.
Yeah.
And that's something which early on, someone taught me that if you know this, you know 70-80% of your work.
So knowing your art in and out would be the third.
That's the foundation of the entire thing. I joined MLM, multi-level marketing, when I was in junior college.
Okay.
And that's how I started talking. It's a pyramid scheme.
Got it.
You buy, you sell it to 2 people, then you sell it to 4 people.
I know.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it is there when someone told me that, Ridhiin ji, you look like you come from a well-to-do background. And but it looks like, that you are a very well-written book, but it is not opened yet. So unless you open yourself, people are not going to know who you are. And that's where I started talking. I started opening up to people. It was a blessing in disguise. Apart from the MLM scheme and everything, whatever it was, it made me understand the value of talking in front of people. And I started talking, but not to miss out the part. The first project which I did was the airport project. So the airport was my first project. The art wall, which is there, a kilometer and a half art wall.
That you have to walk all the time, yes, when you land.
Yeah. So that was my first commercial project,
Okay.
and I landed up that project because of Facebook. Because someone posted on Facebook saying that that we're looking for a photographer for this project. I reached out to the person, and even Sunburn the same way I landed up.
You landed Sunburn with Facebook?
Yeah.
Please, can you elaborate how?
So they had posted on their Facebook page saying Instagram wasn't a thing back then. 2010 I'm talking about. And they posted saying that they're looking for a photographer. I reached out to them, and they asked me to show my work. I showed the Kunal Ganjawala pictures. I showed Euphoria pictures. And they are like, okay, let's give it a try. But they weren't offering good money. So I was like, okay, let's do one shoot at the price which you are offering. And if you like, and if you call me again, this is my set price. And they called me again. That happened that way. And that is also another important thing, that if you don't have work to show, it's important to land up projects, because this is a cycle. Someone on your podcast only mentioned that you need a good profile to get.
I was about to say Ratan Paji. Yeah.
To get gigs, but you don't get gigs if you don't have a good profile. So it's a cycle. To break that cycle, it's very easy that you first go for the low hanging fruit. You build your profile with the low hanging fruit. You prove yourself, and then you ensure that you come out of that zone. Because now with so many people being out there, it's sadly become a more exploitation market.
That's right. Yeah.
That okay, I have a big name, this big artist is performing. If you want to shoot, you shoot for free, or you shoot for this amount of price. You'll get this on your portfolio. And this might sound a dig, but it's true. How many big artists and big events will you put on your portfolio if it is not paying you?
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, you want to sustain. You want to keep creating.
And also one of our other, sorry to cut you here, but another podcast we dealt was कि आप increment choose करो या exposure. And at the end of the day, the conclusion was exposure don't pay the bills. भले आप biggest artist को cover कर लो, but that won't get food on the table.
Correct.
So sorry, yeah.
Yeah, you need money. That's the bottom line. You need money to sustain. And people who say that, oh, I'm doing this for my creative vision, I'm doing this for my portfolio, and that's not going to lend you up anywhere.
So how do you break that, you said?
First thing is prove yourself. You know how they say that if you're starting a business, first reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, reach out to your neighbors.
That's right.
You create that content, you create that portfolio, and then you send it out to people. The same way it happens everywhere else. I tell people that if you want to start shooting, say David Guetta or Martin Garrix or Axel Ingrosso, why don't you start shooting the DJ who's next door? Show your creativity there, then from there level up to any other Indian DJ who's there, accessible in your reach, and then you go international.
So that's how you break that chain.
Yeah, but the most important part is when you are jumping from, say, who's a local DJ to an international DJ, don't sell yourself out just to show people that, oh, I shot this particular international DJ, and then your invoice is not even in 5 digits. So it's important that you value yourself.
And what you're saying is, after you practice and make a very solid reel amongst the people you can directly reach out on, make a solid portfolio, and then when you approach someone bigger, like an international DJ in this example, then you don't quote your price, which is the normal one. Then you quote their level ka price.
Correct. Because that is what I was coming to with my airport project. That someone over there, they told me about these things that you need to know your art and craft inside out. But also I learned quite a few things over there. First is the corporate thing, that unless it is in black and white, it is on paper, it is not true. No matter what I tell you verbally, if it is not written, there is no proof of that. So have everything written down. Second is, only the creative vision does not land you up a job. Because when I was in that particular job, there was another photographer who was really good in terms of creative photography. and I really look up to their art. She did not end up the entire project. We were both on the trial phase.
Got it.
And the reason I got the project was because of my technical knowledge. And photographers nowadays, sometimes they have technical knowledge, they lack creative knowledge. Sometimes they have creative knowledge and they lack technical knowledge. And you need to have the proper blend of both.
And it boils down to the fact that you have to hone your craft.
Correct.
The more you know it, the better chances you are against your competitors.
Correct. That's the most basic, that's the foundation, that's a base level for you to start from.
Let me take it a few steps back. And going from the crux of our episode, do you have something in mind in terms of in front of the camera, when you see a lot of artists, there is a clear distinction between he knows what he's doing as opposed to यार मुझे समझाना पड़ेगा क्या कर रहा है.
So, two examples. First is, let's say if you know your art very well, you already have a vision, okay, like, this is what I want my content to look like. Now, content can be your everyday, day-to-day things on social media, or it can be a music video. Unless you have that clarity yourself, that, okay, like, this is what I want to do. No one can translate that into something which you relate to. So you need to be able to relate to that. Then it becomes their baby and not your baby, unless you have clarity of thought. So the very first thing is to have a clarity of thought within yourself. And that clarity of thought can come not only from AI, not only from YouTube videos, not only from reading. Reading is a very powerful tool, and I'll come to that why. It comes with your personal experiences which no one else have had.
For example,
The stand-up comedian, Zakir Khan. That guy is so relatable. The way he tells the story of, there is this one video on YouTube where he talks about मैं शून्य पे सवार हूँ, and he talks about his journey that, like, he was going back from Indore to Delhi to start working again, and, like, he was in the general category compartment. Inside the toilet there were 30 people, and outside there were hundreds more. And then he tells his shairi. That's personal experience. And just bring that entire context out and just share the shairi. It will not be relatable to anyone.
got it.
So your personal experiences in life define a lot in terms of your content. And the reason why I mentioned about reading is because, let's say, like, if I want to make a music video and a singer or an artist comes to me that, like, okay, this is the video which I want you to copy paste. And there'll be my first red flag. I will tell no. Because when someone is doing something visually, you are already in your blinders. If I'm thinking about Ramayana and I'm watching the Ramayana which is there on TV, now I'm going to look at Ram just like that, Ravan just like that. On the contrast, if you are reading Ramayana, you've not seen any movies, you've not seen any pictures. Now your imagination is so powerful, you can imagine Ayodhya however you want it to be. You can imagine Ram however you want it to be. You can imagine Ravan however you want it to be. And then you mix it with your budget, you mix it with your accessibility in terms of how you can execute it. It becomes something else. This is now my own, and this is my vision.
Wow.
So reading, that's the reason why, like, that I really find it as a powerful tool which a lot of people miss out on. Where, like, they write it down, okay, this is how I want it to be, and then you try and execute that.
Lovely. And in terms of the physical presence, if now that we come to a little more proper appearance and stuff like that. Like, for example, a lot of performing artists at some point they have to come in front of the camera or the audience, be it a live performance or a shoot. So you have seen so many artists, performing artists. What are the guidelines sort of that you could probably give के यार ये करो, please ये करो और ये तो बिल्कुल मत करो. And it can be relevant to both live audience में भी और camera में भी.
Okay, so I'll answer the live audience first. There's a very famous DJ, and I've been shooting that DJ for almost like a decade and a half now. And initially, when I was shooting that DJ, throughout the set, the DJ is engrossed in his mixes. He's just looking down there like a good schoolboy, like, who's writing and who's not interacting at all.
He's doing his craft.
Correct.
but performance sort of nahi hai.
There is no performance. On the contrast, like, say someone like Steve Aoki, you don't need to wait for a frame to happen. It's happening at every moment. You capture and it's become so easy that, like, even a newborn photographer can shoot really well good photos. Out of a 90-minute set, you have at least 100, 150 different moments happening, which is every minute something is happening. In the contrast, you have someone who's actually a really good artist, but he's not a good performer.
Hmm.
And then slowly, like, you show them, you give them feedback. How you get a feedback that, okay, like, I would like this video this way, or this edit this way, colors this way, framing this way. We give feedback that, like, that we need you to look into the camera. We need you to raise your hands. We need you to sing the lyrics which you are playing. We need you to interact with crowd. So I tell people that do your homework first. And so good that at the end of the day, when you are going on a set to shoot at any venue, you know your weapon so well that you don't need to be engrossed in your weapon at all. It becomes like the back of your hand that I know my camera so well, and I'm now just being in the present. I'm interacting with the other person.
And same goes the other way also.
Exactly. For the performance artist, the same way. If you are a stand-up comedian, like, you've rehearsed your set so many times. You've done so many permutation, combination. If you're doing a crowd work, that, okay, if this question comes, I need to answer this. If this question comes, I need to answer this. Here, I will take a pause to, like, for the audience to
acknowledge the
react.
audience, yeah, laughter.
But if you are only over there thinking, कि, okay, this is my next joke, this is my next joke, इसके बाद मुझे यहाँ पर जाना है, then you are nervous inside.
Got it.
So this is like giving a test, like, if you've done your homework, you are free to just take the question and answer.
And this is what you're saying is in terms of a performance per se. Now, what happens when, let's say, as performing artists, we have to just be in front of the camera a lot more, maybe for pictures, promotions, and etc., or maybe live interactions for my publicity of my movie, short film, whatever, like my musical or whatever. So, ऐसे time पे where you don't have to perform, but just be. But that is also very important because people are going to judge you.
Correct.
And your presence, your personality.
In terms of my presence in front of the camera, how I want to sit, what I want to look like. And the third part is about, like, being nervous in front of the camera. I still do. But that's about rehearsing your stuff pre-hand. If you are done with that, fail faster. Keep going ahead and, like, just do those things where, like, you are shooting something. If you are failing, another podcast, but at least deliver your message, express yourself. Because as I mentioned, like, offline, I'm not doing this to impress people. I'm here to express myself. As long as I express myself, impressing people is a byproduct.
वो अपने आप ही हो जाएगा.
Correct.
There are times when things don't go as planned. How do you maneuver that? Like, if suppose I'm on stage and I'm performing and stuff, do you have any instances where phenomenal people, phenomenal artists, they just know how to improvise?
On stage, while live performance, I've been fortunate enough to not have a lot of malfunction on stage. A couple of times, like, malfunctions, like, if someone has threw a stone on the stage.
Okay.
You don't do anything about it. You just shut the show and you go. And that's fair enough. Another malfunction can be a technical malfunction where, like, maybe a cable broke down, or, like, some links don't work. Over there is a MC or an anchor who takes over and, like, who interacts with the crowd, and, like, while others are fixing things backstage, people are not bored because technical malfunctions are bound to happen.
Yeah.
Let's say, like, if someone attacks you,
a bear comes in front of you, what do
yeah, you either fight or you run away.
Run away.
And being a performing artist, the first instinct you should have is fight,
not flight.
Yeah. And it's about, okay, the fuck up has happened. Stop panicking. What happened, happened.
It's in the past.
Now. Yeah. Now what? What next?
Problem solve.
Exactly.
Solving.
Figure out that, okay, if not this, then you do this. If not this, then you do that. And you need to be quick on your feet for that at least. And that's something which you need to have in your life also, not just on stage, but on your life also, that, like, you have a fight response, not a flight response. A different kind of buffalo, American buffalo.
Okay.
Normally when storms come, you run away from the storms. But the storm eventually is going to catch up with you. So you are going to elongate the amount of time which you are spending in that fear.
Got it.
This type of buffalo, they run towards the storm. in order to get out of the storm quickly. So that way, practically and technically, you are shortening the time which you are going to
Spending in
spend.
fear
Correct. In fear and in storm.
in the storm. Oh
Yeah.
wow. I think it also overlaps what you just said, no? कि वो hurdle आते हैं हमारे सामने, fail faster.
Correct.
हर्डल तो आने ही वाले हैं,
Yeah.
तो जितना तुम उससे भागोगे वो उतना टाइम और फेयर में रहोगे, इससे अच्छा यू जस्ट गेट इट डन विद.
Correct. वो आज नहीं तो कल होने वाला है, उससे अच्छा आज कर लो.
Wow. And now we have a set of questions for you which are related to when you are in front of the camera. How do you make your posture related or whatever, how do you make your presence more pleasant, delightful? क्योंकि कुछ लोगों का होता है कि they need not look great, but जैसे ही वो कैमरा के सामने आ जाते, oh my god, you just want to keep looking at them, that X factor.
So you need to clear your head. Now that I'm in front of you, I don't need to think of 10 different things which I have prepared. I'm prepared. I'm here. And check your frames.
Check your frames, okay.
As often as possible. Because that way, even if let's say the cinematographer or the photographer, they are not really good or they are not paying attention, you yourself are seeing that, okay, this is how I want to be seen. And posture, your basic postures are don't slouch. That's one very, very common thing. Don't show your feet. Don't be
shut.
Yes.
Yeah, closed.
Yeah.
Subconsciously.
Correct. Or even don't be rangila.
That's very fresh, actually.
Yeah, no, I've seen rangila is from the movie reference. It'll sit like this. You have to have certain poise. You have to have certain structure, and the only way you can have that is by rehearsing. Most of the people don't have it naturally. When we see someone out there, when we look at YouTube videos of people who have good charisma or good X factor, we think, okay, this is not achievable. And if you go back to that person's timeline 10 years back or 20 years back, and you look at their videos, I'll give you two examples. One is, I've been watching roadies lately after maybe a long time. But you look at Ranvijay Singh right now.
Oh man.
The presence he has, he does not need to be commanding as the previous judges who were there. He does not need to abuse or be aggressive. Just his presence alone demands respect. When he speaks, you shut up and you listen. But you go back 15, 20 years back. Okay. So I've seen Ranvijay in the first season, then I've seen him in the 12th season, now
20th.
Yeah. So I've seen 3 phases. And it happens only with practice. If I look at Ranvijay right now and I feel I cannot achieve this. This is not possible. And I'll shut my shop, I'll sit quietly and I'll start scrolling. That's what happens.
That's what happens.
So you need to do your research. I do the same thing in same exercise in my workshop also. So since over a decade, I've been teaching at multiple colleges. For Canon, there was a Sunburn Academy.
Wow.
For Front Row. In fact, I'm coming up with my own online course.
Love.
I do 1-day workshops also for Canon and for different
Are
people.
they running right now?
Yeah. That is the key thing, that you see unachievable and then you shut. You don't need to shut down. You need to see what is achievable and you start from there. When you come to physical presence, take a role model. Take one person and have a laser sharp focus at how that person is sitting, how that person is standing up, how that person is moving. When they move up, when they stand up, they button their suits. If they are shaking someone's hand, they are not sitting. They are always getting up. These are small key
etiquettes,
things.
mannerisms.
Correct. And you mirror that person completely. There is a skill, there is a talent. Most of the people are not talented, but people who are successful, they are definitely skilled. And the skills you can achieve.
So where do you, it's my favorite question on this podcast, where do you draw the line? For example, we spoke of Ranvijay. अब Ranvijay को मैं 20th episode में देखूंगा, I'll be like, यार, he's unachievable, how do I get to him? But then my duty is to go to the first episode and see, okay, this is how he started. He was like this. So maybe it's achievable. भले 20 साल लगेंगे, but it's achievable. It's not impossible. But now if I start mimicking his journey, how do I not lose mine? If you say follow the people you admire, follow the people you look up to. But then, what difference would it make that how can I not end up being a second Ranvijay? How will I still be Raj in that process?
So these are all coming from your personal experiences. When I try to mimic someone, it is a starting point. It is not the ending point.
Okay.
Because the same thing what you mentioned, it becomes a version 2 of Ranvijay. And why would someone look at Ranvijay
Version 2.
to duplicate? Then they can
See the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For 20 years, you don't just mimic Ranvijay. You rather compete with your competition's competition. And that is how, like, you are catching up faster. You're not spending 20 years becoming Ranvijay. Ranvijay has his own idols. So you start with Ranvijay, but then you go, okay, I like Akshay Kumar, I like this guy, I like that guy. And then you have your own personal experience. You have your background, you have your circle, which influences you a lot. You need inspiration, take inspiration, don't copy blindfold.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah,
Like keep your ears and eyes open and your mind also open.
correct.
क्या
Yeah,
लेना है क्या नहीं लेना है
yeah,
and find your own version in between.
exactly.
Perfect. So another thing that I just took out of you is कि अगर किसी शो में उन्होंने बोला है कि उनके आइडल कोई और है, so then you go to that person
Correct,
and not just stick to him,
correct.
so that you know where is he deriving his
Inspiration
from,
Yeah.
motivation from. Interesting. Okay. And is there any tool or maybe a trick where if I'm in front of the camera to instantly capture the audience that who probably doesn't have so much experience, who is rather new in front of the camera, he doesn't have that much to show and gain their attention, but he would like to capture the audience then and there, be it in front of the camera or the live audience?
So everyone has a personal experience. The one thing which I hate the most is people beating around the bush.
Okay.
Going around in circles.
Okay.
And not coming to the point right away. And for that, you need to articulate. You need to be precise. Think of it as meeting a doctor, a famous doctor who you want to go to, who you want to get advice. And that doctor is not going to give you more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes
of time.
Yeah. You cannot start with your Ram Kahani कि मैं जब ही पैदा हुआ था. You need to come to the point very quickly and you need to be very precise with your personal experience. Now, the art of storytelling is what is going to capture people. And for you to become better at storytelling is you need to write. That is how I work.
You need to write.
Yeah, I need to write down points. I think in bullet points. Okay, these things I need to talk about. I write down points. Okay, like this is the story if I want to share. I'll write down these points, and then I'll come to that topic candidly.
Now that we've brought it up, please could you share a few words on that?
So we've got multiple courses. There is a workshop which happens every month. It's a webinar.
Okay.
So it's a 2-hour webinar, and people come and you talk for a hour and a half. You have question and answer. Then you have a on-demand online course. So wherever if you're sleeping at night and you want to watch a video, you watch the video, you learn photography. And third is a masterclass where offline you dedicate 7 days in person, and we do multiple shoots on ground.
Got it.
Where you do a fashion shoot, you do an event shoot, you do a product shoot, and you build a portfolio, which right out of the academy, the certificates don't matter. Your portfolios matter. So right out of the masterclass, you have a portfolio to show to a client.
Beautiful.
Now these things I've designed it in a way where I'm interacting with clients, understanding what they need, hiring freelancers, seeing the gap. Where is the gap? Looking at my competitors, where is the gap? Because there is a huge gap. There's a lot of jargon which is available online. There's good content also available online. Why would someone buy an online course? Because first is you don't know if you need to go from A to C or you need to go from A to Z directly. You start from a YouTube video and you don't know, okay, you have half the things which are there. A lot of people don't cover about marketing yourself, about branding yourself, and the most important legal part of it. That how does photography, filmmaking, and something comes in the legal purview. Who owns the copyrights? How do you license an image? If let's say you want to post something and I as a subject say I don't want you to post it, who's in the right?
Got it.
What is intellectual property? People don't talk about this. There are contracts which are there, and I've seen a lot of big companies avoid making contracts in terms of getting the IP right. There is something called as work for hire.
Okay.
And if you do work for hire, you are basically a gun for hire.
Like a hitman.
Yes, you are a hitman.
Got it.
And this is my work. This is not your work.
Got it.
You can be arrested if you're caught, but otherwise, this is my work. So, these nuances which are there, a lot of people don't teach openly, and frankly, they don't understand themselves also openly. So,
Also,
all these things I've compiled it in a way where in pre-recorded you got modules where you understand if you are a beginner, where do you need to start? If you are a intermediate, where do you need to start? If you are advanced, how do you up your game?
so everybody need not go from A to Z. They can start from wherever. If you're already at like K or something, so
Correct.
K to Z सीखना है, बस उतना सीखो. पूरा करने की जरूरत नहीं है.
Exactly. But
Interesting.
it's prepared it in a way that, like, let's say you don't know anything about photography, and after 3 months you want to, like, have your first gig as a shooter, and you spend, like, 5-6 hours in that thing. You'll at least have that knowledge that you can land up in your first gig, a paid gig. So this moves me in terms of, like, that my knowledge which is there, it is not for me to keep in terms of gatekeeping. People think that, like, that you are promoting your own work and you are being so open about it. You are producing competitors, and I feel at the end of the day, like, there is so much work out there for someone to get. It's just that, like, you are helping them reach there, and once you help someone reach there, you can get to another level.
It's like the pie is big enough for everyone.
Exactly.
It's not a small pie.
Yeah.
And that sort of gives a sense of giving back to the craft also, no?
So I want to bridge that gap in terms of giving that knowledge back to the society where people can produce quality content.
Wow. All right. Let's do a set of rapid fire.
Yeah.
Pressing questions, okay? मेरे भी हैं बहुत सारे इसमें.
Okay.
What is the difference between a good headshot and a great one?
A good headshot has a good composition, good lighting, there's drama in the picture, and the person looks good. A great headshot talks about the person's personality without having to have the caption below.
Interesting. Is it onto the performer or subject or the photographer
Both of them.
to bring that alive?
Both of them. Because the performer has to be in their own personality and they have to be comfortable in their own skin. Thinking of a headshot, like, if you look at Shri Balasaheb Thackeray's headshot, which Raghurai shot, you look at the picture and, like, you look at the elements which are behind and the way he's sitting, it talks so much. It's roaring on your face. And you don't need a caption below or ask ChatGPT, give me an Instagrammable caption. That picture is worth 1,000 words.
It's right there. Everything.
So a great headshot speaks about the personality of the person.
What's your advice for performers who feel self-conscious or awkward in front of the camera?
Okay, first thing, camera is just a medium. You need to be self-conscious about your art and about your knowledge. Once you are confident in that, the camera will capture whoever you are or whatever you are. So come in front of the camera as often as you can. Be friends with the camera. If you are not friends with the camera, you are falling behind.
And how often should performers update their professional photos?
In terms of social media or on their portfolio?
Either way.
Okay, social media is all about the algorithm game. I don't think you need to have the picture perfect kind of a thing. You be as authentic as you can on social media. So that way you are not bound by, okay, this is art worthy or museum worthy, only then I'll post. Because people want to see the authentic you. When it comes to portfolio, every season you should change it. And a season basically.
Season in the sense like.
Okay, so
like weather wala season.
No, every season, for example, if you, let's say, if you are changing a set, if you are a stand-up comedian and you have one set, you have one tour which is happening. So that one tour should have a set of your entire, what is it called? I'm forgetting the name, but it's a set of pictures for that one tour.
Okay.
Then when you're doing the next tour, make sure that all the previous pictures are not used again. You have a new set of pictures for every tour, for every album, for every song. You should have a different set of pictures.
Interesting. What's one common mistake performers make with their headshots and how can they fix it?
But the main thing which people miss out on while taking their photos or something, they go on Instagram, they go on Pinterest, and their inspirations are other artists and other creators. The inspiration is not their own work.
Got it. For performers attending events, what's the simple trick to look great if a camera suddenly pops up?
Interact with the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. If you are interacting with the camera, not just the photographer, but Instagram and all other algorithms will love you, because then you're talking straight into camera, just talking straight to the 1,000 people or 10,000 people who are watching you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the end of our rapid fire. Yeah, some
Wow.
wonderful insights that we had.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for your time. And before we part, anything overall, our episode today was basically your presence in front of the camera on this side by someone who is mainly on the other side. So his angle was profoundly useful for us to get a knack of how can we better ourselves when we are on this side of the camera. So jate jate kuch aapko tips or anything on top of your mind that you want to share with our audience that could be helpful?
Be true to your art. Like, that is your Saraswati, that is your Lakshmi, that is your Gita, that is everything. And if you are true to your art, you will get there. You have so many resources now, you have so many available platforms to reach out there. If you are just true to your art and if you have that drive, you'll reach there.
Unfab se thoda dur raho.
Yeah.
Isn't it? That's what I took from him.
Yeah.
Anything else on top of your mind?
Be ready to be anywhere on the face of earth. It can be on the biggest stage which you have. It can be in front of the biggest client you might have, a potential client. It can be in front of the biggest celebrity which you have. You need to be mentally prepared and not just write it down on your notes or on your vision board, but mentally prepared. If someone comes in front of you, how will you present yourself? So there's something called as elevator pitch.
Elevator pitch.
Yeah. Okay. And there's a different elevator pitch for everyone.
Okay.
So elevator pitch is something, let's say you meet your favorite artist in an elevator and you want to pitch that please come to my podcast.
Okay.
So would you just tell that person that, hey, my name is so and so and I have a podcast, please come on my podcast? And the answer will be definite no.
Most likely, yeah.
So I have this 30-second elevator pitch for different categories that if let's say I'm meeting an artist, if I were you, and I would tell them that okay, this is what I exactly do. This is what my podcast is about. These are my key people who have hosted on the show and why I would like to have you on the show.
All in the span of
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
So you're articulating, this is meeting a doctor and telling them in 30 seconds that ye bimari hai. And then for 5 minutes, that person is just sitting, what should I do? This is that Guru movie that he gives him 5 minutes and Abhishek Bachchan tells him that आपने 5 मिनट दिए थे, 4.5 मिनट मैं खत्म किया, 30 सेकंड मुनाफा.
Yeah. Interesting.
So you are prepared for it that okay, this is what I'm going to get in front of someone and I need to introduce myself. I need to present the best of myself. So that elevator pitch is when you are in the elevator in 30 seconds, how well you can pitch yourself.
Elevator pitch is something every performing artist should have, is what you're saying. All right. Thank you so much, Ridhiin. It was a pleasure. That was indeed an insightful discussion with Ridhiin Panchmatia about what our performing artists can do to better his presence in front of the camera and in the audience. So please, if you liked what you saw and it brought some value to you, like, share and comment below and give in your suggestions, because we would love to hear them and implement them in the next one. In the meantime, next week we'll bring another guests and deal with a completely different topic which might help you in your journey of performing arts. In the meantime, subscribe to VR Art and we'll see you soon.
रख भी लो product और उसके साथ साथ we'll also pay you for it.
Yeah, I don't want to get into social media and all. I want to stay authentic with my acting.
इस influencer को नहीं follow करना चाहिए. There are sensitive topics that also influencers promote many a times. How will you know? There's nothing to lose. Wow, this is something nice, and this I should definitely be going.
Isn't that a double-edged sword?
I was getting paid more than I was getting paid at a set for working 12 hours a day.
To be a good person over everything else.
Yeah.